What's up, gentlemen? This is Rising Phoenix Podcast, a podcast about how to rise up after your divorce. I'm your host, Michael Rhodes. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the show. This is episode 42, which features Mr. Sean Whalen. Sean was such a huge guest that I decided to not only put this episode out on all the podcast networks, Apple, Google, Spotify, et cetera, but also decided to use the video and upload it to YouTube. I am incredibly grateful to Sean for doing this. And the reason I wanted to have him on, and I think you'll hear this, is his take on masculine, feminine, alpha, beta, crying, emotions. I really appreciate Sean's take on these things because as a guy who's clearly a very alpha looking guy, to be talking about these things, I believe gives all of us men permission to talk about these things, to have emotions, to feel, to cry. And if you're new to the podcast, you can go back and listen to episode 3 and hear the suicide statistics for divorced men. They're pretty sobering. And I think part of the reason for that is that men aren't allowed to cry. They aren't allowed to have emotions. They aren't allowed to show anything other than anger and happiness. That's it. And I think men like Sean, who have a platform and who talk about these things, is incredibly beneficial to all of us. Sean and I don't agree on everything, and I think you'll hear some of that, although I had no interest in being combative with him. I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm not going to charge a bull. And I don't want to be combative also because I want a good interview. I want him to get out his thoughts and feelings. I don't want him to be in a defensive mode or in a combative mode. I don't want to be that way either. So I think you'll hear me ask him some questions, and I think you'll see some differences in how we view the world. But in general, he and I agree on a lot. And I really appreciated the fact that he took the time to sit down with me. Here we go. Episode 42. Joining me today is badass motherfucker, Mr. Sean Whalen. Sean is an entrepreneur. He's a coach. He's a fucking jack of all trades, for lack of a better description. Welcome, Sean.
Good to be here.
And the reason I want to have you on is I think that we are slightly different in terms of how we view the world, but I think we also are very similar. And there's some things that I really want to get your take on because there's things that I struggle with in going through the divorce process and trying to help men get through that. I don't have a coaching program, but I have the podcast. I have a support group on Facebook that has over 4,600 men in it. And I struggle with how to help them sometimes. But let's first talk about your experience, and we don't have to delve in too deep into it, but you went through a divorce. Yep. And you had a lot of anger issues. Now I'm curious, were these anger issues, and I've listened to the Sean Whalen show, the first episode, I've read some of the book, I haven't gotten through all of it, my apologies. I listened to some of the Sean and Sachs show. Was your anger before the divorce or was it amplified by the divorce?
I think it was exposed through the divorce. I was angry and didn't really know what it was, didn't know how to put my finger on it. And I think after the divorce, as it got exemplified and really, really more exposed, it became more identifiable. Before it was just a part of being a man. You just go, and didn't realize that it wasn't healthy. So it was definitely after the divorce that I realized, how angry I really was.
And how did you combat that? Like what did you do? Because for me, a lot of times anger is usually it's masking something. It's usually masking pain and hurt. And for guys, it's really hard to face that. So how did you really face that and deal with it and get through it?
I quit lying. Real talk. I quit lying. I spent most of my life doing as I was told. Do this is what good looks like. This is what's right. This is what dad does. This is what an entrepreneur does. And I realized that I didn't know who I really was. I didn't speak my truth. I didn't speak my mind. I didn't speak my heart. I didn't speak my soul. I spoke what was socially acceptable. I spoke what I was supposed to speak, and I shared what I was supposed to share as a dad, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. And after my divorce and bankruptcy and kind of this midlife crisis, I realized that I was just full of shit. I was completely full of shit. I said what was socially acceptable. I went to church and did the things. I didn't know why. I didn't know who the fuck I was. I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. And I realized that, it's kind of the really simplified version of you sitting down with your buddies and your buddy's going through some shit. He's going through a divorce or he's going through whatever. And you say, hey man, how are you? And he's like, I'm good.
Right.
It's just a lie, right? But it's because as men, we don't tell truth. We don't talk about emotions. We don't cry. We don't do any of these things. And so I realized that Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot. The single greatest remedy for every ailment on earth is truth. And most of my life, I didn't tell the truth. I didn't purposely lie. I didn't purposely try and deceive, but I didn't know how to tell the truth, because what I had been programmed to believe success looked like, life looked like, all these things look like, was radically different than what I was doing. And so it took me understanding that I was standing in the way. I was the one causing the anger, and I was angry because I wasn't speaking the truth. I was lying. And I ask people this all the time as a coach. I've got literally thousands of clients around the world. I'm like, if you ask somebody, are you a liar? What do they always say? No, I'm not a liar. I'm not a fucking liar.
Of course not.
And then a subsequent question is, well, do you tell people the truth? Well, the truth is hard sometimes, or it's painful sometimes, or whatever. So I guess not really. And really what that is if you're not speaking the truth, the only alternative is lying. And there's no gray area. There's no middle ground. And I think a lot of people, especially men, go wrong with this. Is they think, well, the truth is hard. It's hard for me to tell my wife that I want to have this type of sex life. It's hard for me to tell my wife that I have these thoughts, or I have these feelings. And it's hard for me to tell the world these things about me, or my darkness, or my depression, or my suicide, or whatever. Sure. And the truth of the matter is, like, if you're not saying those things, you're not speaking those words, then what you are speaking is not real, and it's not true. And so it is a lie. And I know that it's hard for a lot of men, especially, to hear this, but that's what it is. And that's where I was. I spent, 30 years of my life basically lying. I spent 30 years of my life hiding these things, not sharing with my wife how I was really feeling, what I really wanted, what my desires really were. And there's no wonder that I ended up going through a divorce, going through a bankruptcy, because I was completely full of shit.
Yeah. Did you find part of that telling the truth was crying, was opening up and just like letting the fucking floodgates out and just feeling?
Oh, yeah, dude, I'm 42. I cry all the time. I mean, crying is this misnomer. I mean, dudes are like, I don't cry. Be like, you're so full of shit, man. Right. Like, listen, a lot of dudes have this misconstrued notion of what alpha really is. And these alpha dudes are the baddest motherfuckers, and they have no fear and no feeling. Right. Bro, that ain't alpha. Yeah. That's as beta gets.
Yes.
You're no different than the pink-haired frou-frou dude down at Starbucks who doesn't know which bathroom to go in. I don't mean any disrespect.
No. I got you. Yeah.
Some of the weakest motherfuckers that I know, some of the most scared, terribly vulnerable, terribly alone men that I know are the bad motherfuckers, are the ones who flex like, yo, I don't fear anything. Fuck you. It's
right.
Bro, I could fucking expose you in 10 seconds or less and have you in the corner in the fetal position like a baby. Yeah. So let's knock all that shit off and let's get down to real shit, because the real alpha shit is just as much feminine as it is masculine.
Amen. I couldn't fucking agree more. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because I'll be honest with you. When I first, a couple of guys pointed you out in my group, and I was like, I went to your website and you look like that alpha guy, but yet sort of beta in disguise. And I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying you're very masculine. And then I read a post you wrote about raising sons, and you mentioned telling them to cry. And I was like, oh shit, this is not who I thought this guy was. Mm-hmm. And because I agree that this masculinity that is shoved down our throats is not really masculinity at all. I think it's about ownership, and that includes ownership of feelings and getting your shit out. But was that a difficult process though? Was that a difficult process for you to embrace that?
It's liberating. And for the record, I don't tell my kids to cry. I don't say, okay, kid, go cry.
No, I know.
Go in the corner and cry. They see me cry.
Sure.
I mean, I shared this on a podcast the other day. One of my favorite pictures of my son, who's 15 years old, plays football. Awesome. There's a picture of last year, the year before. They were playing in the semifinals to make it to the championship game, and they lost. Mm-hmm. Their britches were too big, and they got their butts kicked. And there's a picture of my son, and I got my arm around him, and his head is like buried in my neck. And here's this 15-year-old kid, and he's bawling like a baby. Yeah. And what people don't know, and the reason that's one of my favorite pictures, is because I'm telling him, I'm like, dude, feel this. Yeah. Don't run away from this. Don't pretend like, whatever. You didn't catch a break. You didn't catch the short end of the stick. Nobody's fucking fault. I'm not going to tell you were better than them. They beat your ass. But I was literally telling him, I'm like, I want you to feel the sting of defeat. I want you to feel these emotions right now. I want you to fucking cry, because what that's going to do is spark something inside of you that the next time you go to the gym or the next practice, you're going to remember that feeling. You're like, I don't want to fucking feel that again. Right.
Yep.
And I think as men, like we have this persona, and I get this from men all the time, and they're dead fucking wrong. You know, it's weakness to show your kids crying.
Yeah.
You know how many dudes have severe daddy issues that are 35, 40, 45 years old, that had that badass dad that never cried, never showed emotion, never did anything. How's that working out for you, dude, that now that you're on your third marriage or fourth marriage and you keep blaming your exes for being crazy bitches, but yet is it perhaps on you that you're a fucking lunatic and you haven't figured out this other side of the game? Like there's a lot of labels, and it's really easy to throw labels around: masculine, feminine, alpha, beta, the whole thing, you know. But the truth of the matter is, like, you want to really, really, really win at life. It's understanding the whole game. It's understanding all of the emotions. It's being honest about all the emotions. And there are things that cause grown men to cry. There are things that trigger you inside, whether it's the national anthem, whether it's, for me, it's bagpipes. I hear bagpipes, man, and two things are happening. Either somebody died or we're getting ready to go fucking kill somebody. It's wartime, right? But either way, I get radically emotional. Like the parades come down the 4th of July and you get the bagpipe band. I'm bawling like a baby because bagpipes were played at both of my grandparents' funerals. Like I was raised as an Irish Catholic young kid, like Irish, like it's my ancestors, it's my history, it's my blood, it's what courses through me. And I have no problems with that. And so I think there's this really interesting conversation around masculinity, about what it looks like and all these other things. But, you know, I have 3 children. I have a daughter and 2 sons. And the truth is, like, you can't connect with your children unless you're playing all in, right? And the idea that my sons are never going to cry and I got to teach them not to cry and to be men and whatever, like, it's wrong. It's just dead ass wrong. And so I'm very much discovering more and more and more about myself. I'm going deeper into myself. I'm going deeper into who the fuck I really am and what I really am. And I find that there are days that I want to just be a little kid and lay on the couch and have my wife tickle me. And there's other days that I want to cut motherfuckers' heads off.
I hear you.
Some days that I go to the gym and I'm a fucking savage and I go insane and there's nobody that can beat me. And there's other days where I just want to sit in the fucking sauna and sweat. And I just, you know, there's sunsets that I watch. I'm smoking my cigar and that's amazing. And I'm driven and I'm inspired. And there's sunsets where I'm watching and I'm like, I'm brought to fucking tears because I realize how big God is. And I realize how dope this life is. And I realize how simple it is to like love and appreciate life. And most of my life, I wasn't honest about that. And that's what I think brought me so much frustration and anger. And truthfully, I think that's the reason that, you know, male suicide is at an all-time high. There's more men killing themselves than ever before in the history of this country.
Yes.
When we really stop and think about it, it's, you know, it's not because there's a lack of money. There's some dude making millions of dollars selling dildos today. He's selling rubber penises, man. You want to bitch and moan about being broke? If you're broke, it's your own fucking fault, right? You got a goddamn supercomputer in your fucking hand.
Amen.
You're broke. I mean, it ain't about money. And so it ain't about girls and freaking getting pussy either. You can go down to the local watering hole and get some freaking hard up chick any day of the week, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if that's the real case, like if that's truth, why are more men killing themselves than ever before? Like, why are we so angry and why are we so depressed? And I truly believe it's simply because men don't know how to tell the truth. And we bottle this shit up and we bottle it up and we bottle it up. And then all of a sudden we just explode. We're 35, 40, 45 years old going, is this it? I got the house. I got the wife. I got the cars. I work fucking 20 hours a day. I hate my life. I hate who I am. I can't tell my wife this because I'm too big of a pussy to do it. Yep. I just flex and roll around with a bunch of dickhead buddies who are probably all the exact same as me. So then what's my option? Right. And unfortunately, you know, if men just stopped and told the fucking truth, it solves a lot of problems, man.
Yeah, agreed. I think one of the things that where perhaps the conversation I'm really interested in with you, I mean, all of it is, but there's this the victim mentality thing. So I run the support group, and there's guys who just days ago found out that she has cheated on him or she just left or whatever. And these guys, let's be honest, they are victims at that particular point, and they're just miserable and they're bawling. Like, at what point this is what I struggle with. And this is, I really want to get your input on this. At what point does that person stop that view or that thought process of, oh my God, what did she do to me? And start going, okay, what, because it's easy to say, oh, right away. But I don't think that message is going to be received immediately. I'm talking days.
Of course it's not going to be received.
Right.
Nobody wants to hear that.
No, of
because
course
no
not.
one wants to hear the truth.
True.
No one wants to hear the truth.
True.
Like, in real talk, let's have a real
Yeah.
freaking hardcore conversation about this. If your wife's cheating on you, that's all on you. That's 100% on you.
Don't disagree.
You checked out emotionally, psychologically, physically. You did something not to not meet her needs.
True.
Period. End of story.
Don't
you
disagree.
can say, well, fuck that shit. After my divorce, dude, I went through a nasty divorce. There isn't anybody listening to this that's going to have me beat, right? Oh, you think yours is bad? Let me tell you about mine.
Right.
I was picking up and dropping off my kids at a police station. I literally had to have a police escort to pick up and drop off my kids. We spent 6 months dropping off and picking up our kids after the police station at a fucking halfway house where I had to drop them off. And then once I cleared the 5-mile radius of the area, then my ex-wife could come in. I got all the fucking stories. Yeah. She accused me of domestic violence. I had to go to court. I got all the stories, yo.
Yeah.
I got all the fucking stories. I got all the bitterness, all the reason to be mad. And the truth is, to every one of you motherfuckers listening here, she cheated on me. That's because you checked out a long fucking time ago.
True.
That's because you decided to live by what everybody else is saying and be a fucking victim. Oh, she's not fucking me enough. Oh, she's not this enough. She's not that enough. I literally created everything. And this is really hard for a lot of people to get because we've been raised different. We've been raised to blame this, blame the stock market, blame my lover, blame my employee. If my business burns to the ground, the only person responsible for that is me. If my marriage burns to the ground, the only person responsible for that is me. But Sean, she did it. Fuck you and fuck your excuses. Like, this is called extreme ownership. This is what Jocko wrote about, and this is fucking factual. Not very many people want to talk about this though, because it's really, really, really easy to blame people for shit.
No
it's
question.
easy to blame your wife why you're not getting fucked. It's easy to blame your wife why your marriage is shit, or blame your wife why, or your ex-wife, or whatever. Like, without question, if something's happening in my life, I am 100% responsible for it. And if your woman walked out on you, that's your fucking fault. Period. Now, I share this for a very specific reason. Because anything else other than that takes all of your power away. Now, hear me for a second. If I blame the stock market for losing money, I chose to put the money in there.
True.
If my woman walks out on me, I chose to marry her. I made covenants and commitments. If my business burns to the ground, I'm the one that fucking started it. I was the head of the snake. I was the one in charge. I was the CEO. The buck stops with me. True. No one else is going to fucking emotionally, psychologically, or physically support my wife more than me. I signed up for that.
True.
You signed up for that.
Very true.
You're a man. You're fucking married. You are 100% responsible for that. And this is where so many men get it wrong. I got it wrong. I speak from 100% experience. I did it wrong. I was a bitch. I was a fucking victim. I blamed everything on everybody else. And the truth of the matter is, when you're blaming anything on someone else, you're giving that thing power, and you're taking all of your power as a man away.
True, but
my ex-wife is a bitch. She does this, Sean, and she does that, Sean. Well, guess what, bro? She's holding the gun, pointing it at you, but guess who's putting the bullets in the fucking gun? Right. It's your dumbass, just like I did. Right. I knew what to say. I knew what not to say. I sat in a courtroom after my divorce as we were going through our battle. You want to talk real humiliation? Have a judge in front of an entirely packed courtroom read your text messages. Ooh. Yeah, I did that. And I sat there and my lawyer was looking at me and I'm like, shit. I said all of those things. And why did I say all those things? Because I was angry, because I was bitter, because I wanted her to hurt. And at the end of the day, dude, I'm the one that fucking dug my own grave. And after my divorce, the single greatest like flag that I planted in the ground, the single greatest thing that I did is I took accountability for everything. Now, my mind is going, yeah, but. And I want you guys to understand this. If you're talking to groups and men and people and all this other shit, one of the single most powerful things that you will do is to stop saying the word but. Okay, hear me.
Yep.
Like that, the first post of mine that went viral that reached millions and millions and millions of people is the first time that I stopped saying the word but.
I watched it today for the first time.
She's a bitch.
Yeah.
She did these things, but or I did these things, but it was because she did this.
Right.
Judge, I said all of those things, but it's because she was mean to me.
Right.
I did all of these things. I lied, I cheated, I didn't show up from home from work. But it was because you have no fucking power. The very first post of mine that ever went viral was me talking about how big of an asshole I was in my divorce.
Yeah.
Guess what? I was a raging asshole because I was angry, because I was bitter, because I wanted to blame her. And the reason that post went viral and the reason so many people have attached to this message that I share over and over and over again with Lions Not Sheep is I said I was an asshole, period. I didn't say, but it was because she, but she did, because she did do all of those things. But what the fuck does that have to do with me? Nothing.
True.
And so I encourage all of you, if you're struggling, if you're listening to this and a lot of you right now, maybe listening to this, you may listen to it right today, tomorrow, next month, next year, 10 years from now. I don't fucking know. One of the most powerful things that you will do is stop saying the word but and stop giving other people all of their power. You want to be a man, own it all.
Yeah.
Own all of it. Own all of it. If your family goes hungry, it ain't because McDonald's shut down. It's because you failed to learn how to hunt. Yeah. If your bank account is empty, it ain't because of the market. It ain't because of COVID. It ain't because your ex-wife's bleeding you dry. Right. It's because you haven't learned how to fucking produce and provide with abundance. I pay my ex-wife a lot of fucking money still.
Ooh,
and
me too.
I'm making more money than I've ever made in my entire life, and I keep paying her. What does she have to do with my income? Not a fucking thing. What does she have to do with my happiness? Nothing. What does she have to do with anything? Nothing. What does your boss have to do with anything? Nothing. What does the stock market, a president, a fucking political party have to do with nothing?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, and I agree. And I think, though, here's my question. The Sean Whalen that had the gun in his mouth, would he be receptive to that particular message?
Yeah. And here's why. Here's what's really interesting about that question. Who do you think was in my space at the period of time that I was in?
I don't know, honestly.
Bunch of weak motherfuckers.
Because
who do we surround ourselves with? People that appease us, right?
True.
You're going through a divorce. You got a nasty ass ex-wife. I bet you 10 grand the people that you're fucking hanging out with think she's a piece of shit. Praise you. You're bro. It's so hard to be you. Oh my God, she's a lunatic. I can't believe you stayed that long.
Right.
Want to know who surrounded me? A bunch of dumb motherfuckers who were like, oh, I feel so bad for you, bro. I feel so bad for you. I didn't have anybody in my space going, bro, you did this. You built this shit.
Yeah.
So when I put a gun in my mouth, I was like, poor me. It's so hard to be me. Blah. I get it. I understand that. And I am not downplaying depression. I'm not downplaying suicide. It is real as fuck.
Yeah, for sure.
Real as fuck. And I was there. I put a Ruger P95 on my mouth. But I look back now and I realize I had no one in my space. No one speaking truth to me. No one. And guess what? Those people were in my space. Why? Because I brought them into my space. Misery loves company.
True.
And if you're fucking miserable, guess who you're hanging out with? Guess who your counselors are, your advisors are, your peers are, your drinking buddies are? Miserable motherfuckers. And do you think any of those people are going to hold you accountable? Do you think any of these people are going to step up and go, hey, bub, yo, we need to have a chat. You need to stop fucking talking shit. You need to get control of your finances. You need to get control of your fucking mindset. You need to get control of your life. Because you keep coming to the bar every day, drinking yourself to oblivion, blaming her and him and her and him and him and her and everybody else. But what the fuck are you doing? What role did you play in all of this?
Sure.
And I can tell you that at that point in time, and obviously everything has a reason. There's a reason that I'm here today, speaking the messages that I'm speaking. There's a reason that you and I got on this podcast. There's a reason that God continues to put people in front of me. And I truly believe it's because where I was and the experience that I had, I didn't have anybody. And just perhaps there's a reason I have this voice. Perhaps I have this megaphone for a reason. It's to scream from the housetop this message of accountability.
Yeah.
It's to show people like, look, man, I was there.
Yeah.
I was fucking there. I built a multi-million-dollar company, single parent, no silver spoon. Fuck all the excuses. I burned it to the fucking ground, all of it. I left a 10-year marriage because I was an egomaniac, because I had fucking so much pride and I had zero accountability. I was a textbook victim.
Yeah.
I burned my whole world to the ground. And afterwards, I start building this back up going, oh shit, I'm responsible for all of this. I did this. And that's the reason I'm so much an advocate for, there's a time that a dude needs a hug and there's a time that a motherfucker needs to get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
And the truth is God's given me a gift to punch people in the fucking mouth. Does getting punched in the face, is it pleasurable? Does anybody wake up going, you know what? Today seems like a great day. Somebody come kick my teeth in. No one likes that.
Not typically.
But
no.
perhaps that's what we need. Perhaps that's what this culture of men needs, is to stop fucking hanging around weak motherfuckers and get in a room with people that are willing to kick you in the fucking teeth. Hang out with people that are willing to hold you to a higher level, that don't just go, oh, dude, my ex-wife's a bitch. And you get a whole room full of guys who are like, yeah, man. Yeah, you go. Knuckles rocks. No, fuck you. Fuck that shit. If that's you, I ain't your guy. If that's you, you don't align with lions, not sheep. You don't align with what I'm doing. If, however, there's something deep inside where you're like, bro, I really want to kick Sean in the face. I want to punch you in the face right now, but the truth is you're right. Then now we can have a conversation.
Sure.
This is what it took for me to go from where I was to where I am now, is I had one guy that showed the fuck up who kicked me in the mouth. And I didn't like it. I hated him. I despised him. I didn't do what he told me to do. I hired him as a coach. I was like, fuck you. Give me something else to do. And what's really funny is one of the very first things that he had me do when I hired him, one of the very first things he had me do, I was angry. I was bitter. I was a victim. I blamed everybody. One of the very first things he had me do was write my ex-wife a letter of appreciation. Now, you don't understand.
Took you a couple months, right?
If she got hit by a bus, I'd have been like, yeah, all right, give me the kids. Fuck her. Here's a couple flowers. Peace out. I had no love. I had no appreciation. I had no connection. I fucking despised this woman. And secretly, really what it was I was angry as shit at myself. I hated who I was. I'm like, look, bro, I will drag my balls through broken glass before I write that bitch a letter.
I know.
I'm not writing her a fucking letter. I ain't writing her shit.
I know.
I have zero appreciation. And he's like, don't fucking talk to me until you write the letter. And I'm kicking and screaming. I'm like, fuck you. Who do you think you are? Oh, I want to find somebody else to help me, which is what most dudes do.
Absolutely.
Because they find the generic motherfuckers to surround themselves with. They find the yes men that'll play with their pity party. And all of a sudden you show up and a dude calls you on your shit and you're like, oh, whoa, time out. I don't like this shit. It took me 3 months. It took me 3 months to write this letter. And I can tell you without question, it was one of the most pivotal moments in my life, because I'm writing this. Hey, you're a great mom. Fuck you. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm grateful to have you in the kids' lives. Fuck you. But what I realized in that moment is what ultimately got me to today. And it was 100% accountability. It was the first move that I made. I didn't give it wasn't for her. And I didn't see this at the time. Sure. I'm looking at him going, I don't want to be nice to her. I don't want to do anything nice for her. She hurt me. She lied about me. Yeah. Fuck her. Yeah. Which is what most men say, right?
Well, yeah, 1,000%.
And what I didn't realize is that letter had nothing to do with my kids. It had nothing to do with peace. It had nothing to do with our civility. It had nothing to do with where we are now. It was the ultimate test for me as a man to see if I would do it. If I would do the really, really, really hard fucking work for me to own my shit. It's really easy to blame. It's really easy to be a victim. It's really simple. But that letter changed the entire course of my life, because that was like the first step that I'd ever made in true ownership of me, of my mind, of my heart, of my feelings, of my actions. And since then, it's just been this continual ball rolling of me doing it again and doing it again and doing it again and doing it again.
Well, that's part of the key, I think. But I want to back up to that a little bit, because where you're at is obviously in a really great place. Obviously, you're a hugely successful human being. I respect the hell out of you, but it's a progression, right? You didn't start even at that moment where you wrote that letter, right? There was still work to be done. Can you talk about some of that? Like, what else is it besides just taking accountability? There had to be some other things that, and maybe not, maybe it all falls under that umbrella. But what are some of the other things that you know were a weakness for you that you had to say, you know what? Okay, I'm going to take accountability. Well, I also fuck up here, 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 and here. What else? What are some of those things?
Well, I mean, that letter started a movement for me. And the challenge for my coach, once I wrote that letter, and I mean, I just mailed a flat out letter. I wrote it and I mailed it, put it in the mail. His challenge to me was, I want you to just continue to show her appreciation. And what I realized is that I wrote appreciation text messages, notes. I mean, we went from police, like no communication, dealing with lawyers, to baby fucking steps of even being able to drive to her house. I had to stay in the car. I had to stay at the curb, getting the kids to come out. I couldn't get out and load up their shit, to then being like, okay, now I can get out of the car and load the shit now. And this was like a lot of fucking progression.
Sure.
But for 14 months, I wrote these letters and I wrote these text messages and I sent notes home with the kids for her. Hey, hope you're well, whatever. And it took 14 months before she ever said thank you. Before she ever even acknowledged one of the texts, one of the notes. I mean, I'd write this text message. Hey, appreciate you. Thanks for getting the kids all done up. We had a great weekend, whatever. Radio silence, nothing. How many dudes do you know that would like continue on for 14 months? They'd send one text message, you'd be like, fuck that bitch. She didn't respond. Fuck her then.
Yeah, probably
14
0.
months, bro.
That's
a year. That's over a fucking year. And once again, it wasn't for her. Yeah. It wasn't for my kids. I'm doing this for the kids. No, I didn't see it because I was so blind to my own anger and ego and bullshit, like most men are.
Yeah.
They send one text, go, yo, the bitch didn't respond, so fuck her.
Yeah.
14 fucking months. And what I realized is that I had not really been committed to anything for that long in my life. What was I willing to do that was hard for that long with zero to fucking show for it? However, looking back at it now, that's the exact reason I'm standing here today, because I did that for 14 fucking months. And so we as men, we're these instant gratification dudes. Give it to me now. Fuck now. Give me the money now. Big deal now. Right. What the fuck do we ever really pay dividends on or pay dues for an extended period of time? We buy fad diets. We buy get skinny pills. We buy get rich quick systems. We buy fucking pussy. We buy hookers. We buy fucking shit to sedate our minds because we want that quick, easy right here, right now. And for 14 months, I expressed appreciation, and this is massive for dudes to hear, okay? I want you to understand something. I was in this marriage for 10 years, and there was a good portion of that marriage. There's 3-4 years that I was bad. I was a dick. I was angry. I was depressed. I didn't know how to do this. I was scared. I was fucking scared. And I want you to think about this for a second. If you've been in a relationship for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and you've been a dick, you think that one weekend in Cabo is going to save that?
No.
You think one fucking bouquet of flowers is also going to be like, look, I bought you flowers. Why aren't you nice to me? Well, it's because you've been a dick for the last 10 years, bro. And I don't trust you. Hear me. I don't trust you. And guess what? For 14 months, what was in my ex-wife's brain? Watch. He's going to blow up. He's going to blow up. He's going to blow up. Why? Because that's exactly who the fuck I was. And all you dudes listening to me right now going, yo, I sent her the fucking flowers. I took her to Cabo. You've been a fucking total douche for 10 years. And you think a weekend and a couple of cocktails rewrites the entire game? No. What rewrites the entire game is you and consistency. And the reason that it took her 14 months to even say thank you is because she didn't trust me and she didn't believe me. And she had every right not to trust me and not believe me. Why do you think it is that men's income goes like this? We get a good deal. Oh shit, my tranny went out in the car. Up. Why do you think our relationships go like this? Why do you think our fucking fitness? I'm fat and then I get skinny. Then I get fat, then I get skinny. I get fat, I get skinny. Why do you think that is? It's because we are not committed to shit in the long term, and we have not done the work to earn the big reward. Period. End of fucking story. I have been sharing and posting content for 6 years on social media. I have been adding value day in and day out and day in and day out. There's a reason that my apparel line is exploding with growth right now. And it's not because the market, it's not because the political climate, it's because for 6 fucking years, I have been sharing and adding and sharing and adding and sharing and adding. Yeah. How many dudes do you know that have put 6 years into anything?
Yeah, zero. I don't, not
5 minutes.
Yeah.
And why do you think it is that our relationships turn into shit? Because we had the honeymoon phase. We fucked like little kids. We got married. We were in this. And all of a sudden life sets in. Then all of a sudden I get out of shape. Then all of a sudden I just get lazy. Then all of a sudden whatever. And somehow, some way, we still expect to get our dick sucked. We still expect to fucking have a great relationship. We still expect all these other things. Yet we turn into lazy pieces of shit. Yeah. Just like I was. I was not committed. I was not in the game. I was a fucking victim. No wonder she didn't trust me. No wonder the wheels fell off the fucking bus. Yeah. That's exactly why I ended where I ended.
This is obviously it's one of those easier said than done things. I think once you truly commit, it makes things a lot easier. But was the coach helpful along the way to like, hey, Sean, quit fucking around. Let's get back to
100%.
Yeah.
I never would have written that letter. I would not have written that letter. But I got to a place and I got to a place where, and this is when I think people realistically change. You know, there's a quote that talks about how when the pain of the current situation becomes greater than the fear of the change or of the work, that's when human beings jump, right? When our life becomes so painful, our existence becomes so miserable that you hit a point where you're like, I can't do this anymore. Then and only then will you change. Then and only then will you do the hard work. It's like the one day you look in the mirror or you see a picture of you on the beach with your kids and you realize you are a fat fucking slob. You got man titties dangling down. Your gut hangs over your fucking bathing suit. You're standing there with a beer in your hand and your kids are looking at you like, yeah, that's my dad. Yeah. And it's that one picture when you're like, holy shit, what example am I setting? Where all of a sudden your wife walks out on you and leaves one day and you're like, what the hell? I never saw that coming. Yeah. Well, because you've been a fucking cunt for 6 years. And so I share this, like, I'm really straight up with this, dude. I mean, this is a message that needs to be shared. It needs to be talked about. And there's a lot of people that'll be rubbed wrong by this. I don't really give a fuck. There's a lot of dudes that'll like make all kinds of his stories and say I'm a dick and you don't know. Fuck you. I know, because I did this shit. Yeah. I did this shit. And 14 months of me sharing appreciation for her. I had not done that in my marriage for that long. I had not put 14 months into dating, courting, loving her. Yeah, we were married, but I hadn't done shit for 14 months with consistency. Yeah. I'd do it for a week and then all of a sudden she'd have a bad day. We wouldn't fuck. And then I'd be like, I'd turn into a little bitch. Yeah. No wonder there was no consistency and trust. And this is, in my opinion, what's separating men right now. This is really where most men are, is we're realizing like this, if I value my relationship as much as I do my bank account, I mean, we buy these safes for our guns. We buy these great fucking, canisters for our fishing rods. And we take all of the good care of all of our shit. And yet our marriage is falling apart. The relationship with our kids is falling apart. Our bodies are falling apart. And I truly believe you value what you invest in, and you invest in what you value. And if you value your relationship, then you invest in it. If you value your body, you invest in it. And I promise you, like, the more you invest in your body, the more your body will invest in you. The more you invest in your relationship is going to invest in you. It's how it works. But we haven't been programmed this way. We've just been programmed to be the alpha, beat on our chest, keep marching forward. And I would have you consider, all of you dudes that are out there, maybe you're on the fence, maybe your marriage sucks. the grass is not greener, my friend.
No, definitely not.
I will tell you, like, I got married again, my second marriage,
Yep.
about 6 months ago, and I got divorced and I did my thing. And I was the dude who had lots of cool, hot chicks around and look at how great my life is and the whole thing. And the truth is it wasn't that great. It was fun. It's really fun. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you're never going to build something big. You will never, ever build something big so long as you're in that headspace, so long as you're in that mindset. Because the truth is, in order to be able to build a really strong relationship, it takes the hardest, most humbling work you've ever done as a man in your life. It ain't hard to not be fat. It ain't hard to go to the gym and hire a trainer and get ripped, right? Yeah. When you have another human being on the other side of this experience, to build something really big, it's the biggest test that a man will ever go through. But I will tell you that the biggest reward, emotionally, psychologically, physically, financially, comes from when you go balls deep in building a relationship.
I want to go back to one thing. So in those moments of 14 months of no appreciation or no acknowledgement of your appreciation, did you wane? Did you have moments where like, fuck this? And if so what did you do during those particular moments? How did you talk to yourself to get you back on track?
I did exactly what I committed to do. So I don't wake up in the morning going, hey, you know what? I want to go to the gym and go get my ass kicked by my trainer and throw up. No one wakes up. But what I'm committed to is the result. I love looking fucking good. I love being ripped. I love taking my shirt off on the fucking beach and knowing that I'm the rip dad. I show up at football practice and all the fat turds are rolling around and I look fucking good. I got no problem saying that. I work my ass off.
Sure.
And those days when I don't want to go are the days that I shut the fuck up and just go.
Yeah.
It's the exact same scenario here.
Yep.
Like nothing. And again, there's nothing that's going to test a man more than a woman.
True.
There is nothing that's going to test a man more than a woman. And when you're investing and you're not seeing that, you have to understand something. Like if my results are the way that they are, perhaps it's because this is what I've programmed my relationship to be. There's a reason during those 14 months, I wanted to say, fuck you. There are things that happened in those 14 months that weren't cool. Things that she did, things that she said that had I done what I normally did and quit or blamed, it would have reset the whole fucking game. And then she would have been like, see? Yeah. But what I did is those days when I was like, fuck her, that's when I did even more work. Those days when she was being a bitch, I'm like, no. You ain't throwing me off track. I own this game. And I'd write another fucking text message. She'd send something nasty or whatever. And I'd be like, I'd pause, I'd wait. I'd say, thanks for showing me that. I appreciate you. And in my mind, I was like, fuck you. I wanted to just go bananas. But I stopped, and this is where I got control. So I took ownership. I was like, Sean, what do you want? What do you want? And it's one of the questions that I ask as a coach with Lions Not Sheep to all my clients. I've asked millionaires this question. I've asked billionaires this question. And it's one of the hardest questions, I believe, for any human being to answer.
True.
And it's, what do you want? Because I wanted to be angry. I wanted to be mad. I wanted to be vilified. I wanted to I wanted somebody to be like, yeah, you're right. You don't need to do this. Yeah, you're justified in being an asshole. You're justified in being mad. She was a bitch. I can't believe that she said that. But the truth is my entire life I was surrounded by that. I got really shitty results. And so those days in those 14 months, and there were a lot of days, many. I have days like that today. Even standing where I'm at, like I don't want to do these things. There's days where she wakes up and she's on their fucking moody shit and it's date night. And I'm like, I just booked a fucking reservation at a nice place, whatever. You know what? Fuck you. You go take yourself out on date night. Right. That happens all the time. And in my mind, I'm like, Sean, what do you want? I want to grow. Yeah. And to be very brutally, like full transparency, I did a lot of this stuff selfishly. Because I realized like what I was doing and how things were working wasn't working. So is it possible that there needs to be something else here? And so I looked at it from the perspective of if my coach is right and I will feel better and I get better by doing this, then that makes me a better dad. Like being where I am today and building multiple multi-million-dollar companies and all of this other shit from a financial standpoint, I have been very selfish with this work. Like I wake up in the morning and I have a morning routine. I don't care if Jesus Christ shows up in my house. He's waiting until 10 a.m. because I don't do anything before 10 a.m. I don't do phone calls. I don't take meetings. I don't do shit before 10 a.m. The time I wake up in the morning until 10 a.m., that's my time. I invest heavily into me, into my mindset, into my fitness, into my body, into my relationships. And I'd have everybody like, is it possible that that's the reason that I build what I build and the dividends are being paid? Because most of my life, when I just woke up and I was doing for everybody and slamming my coffee and running around, I was the one who was struggling the most. And so guys need to understand, like, you need to operate at peak capacity for you. And anytime you have drama, bullshit, lies, deception, it's just like a pizza. I talk about this in my book, right? I don't know if you read that part of my book. It's like a pizza.
Yep.
When I wake up in the morning, this is 100%, the whole round pizza of production, of love, of compassion, of fire, of intensity, of building, of scaling, of growing. And then all of a sudden I decide I want to have beef with my mom or my dad. I got daddy issues. And so I take a piece of the pie out. There's 10%. So now today I'm only operating from 90%. You know how many motherfuckers have like 50 pieces of the pie? I'm mad at my dad. I'm mad at my mom. I'm mad at my boss. I'm mad at God. I'm mad at the market. I'm mad at Joe Biden. I'm mad at Donald Trump. I'm mad at Nancy Pelosi. I'm mad at somebody just because somebody said to be mad.
Yeah.
Now you're operating from 10%.
Yeah.
How do you build a fucking empire from 10%? How do you build a marriage from 10%? How do you build a ripped ass body when you go to the gym and you're only working out at 10%? You don't.
No.
And so understanding that you're in complete fucking control. You got drama, you got bitterness, any of this shit is 100% on you. And so I look at this very, very, very selfishly. I do this shit for me. I was writing, I didn't know at the time, but I was writing those messages for me. I was doing what I was doing for me because it made me a different human being. And prior to that, the human being that showed up ended up divorced, ended up bankrupt, ended up suicidal, ended up depressed. And so I had to try on the hat and say, is it possible that there's another way of doing this? Is it possible that I'm the common denominator? The guys who've been married 4, 5, 6 times, newsflash, you're the common denominator, bro. If you keep ending up broke, you can't keep blaming every job and every boss. You're the common denominator. If you're fat, all the shake weights and all the Wizmos and Gizmos and gym memberships, you're the common fucking denominator.
Truth.
If you can't seem to find a girlfriend because they're all bitches, you're the common denominator. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, well, shit. Well, maybe I should just do me. Maybe I should be a selfish motherfucker and handle my business, get my mind, my heart, my body, my bank account right.
So I want to talk, first of all, you're fucking amazing as advertised. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this. It touches me. Honestly, that may sound fucking whatever, but it's the truth. I want to talk about a lot of the guys that I deal with, not all of them, but a good bit of them. They're usually in their 40s. They don't have a clue as to what to do now. They're no longer a husband. And so how do you, I'm sure you get this as a coach. How do you get someone to find their next thing in life or their thing, period? Maybe they'd never figured out what the fuck their thing is. How do you coach men to do that?
Well, first thing is understanding that I can't make anybody do anything.
True. How do you help them?
And as a coach, I am not a savior. I am not your meal ticket. If you don't want to fucking go balls deep in life, I ain't your coach. Yeah. I only work with people that are in a place where they realize, like, I want something bigger. I might not know what it is, but I'm hungry as fuck. Yeah. The dudes that are at the bottom of the barrel that are like, I'm a victim, I can't work with them.
Sure.
If you're not like ruthlessly committed, emotionally, psychologically, physically, financially, to build a different reality, I can't help you. Yeah. And I think you know that, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%.
Until an addict wants to truly change their life, you can send them to rehab and intervention after intervention. If they don't want to quit doing drugs, they're not going to, right? Yeah. It's the same thing with a man. If you want to keep being a victim, I'm not your guy. Right. But when you're done with that shit, now we can build big stuff. The thing that is really interesting about that question is that question of what do you want is so powerful. It took me over a year to answer it. A year of exploration, of looking at things. And I started realizing, like, I might not know what I want right now, but I know what I don't want. I know what doesn't feel good. I've never had love. I've never truly been in love, but I know that I don't like this. I know I've never made millions of dollars before, but I know that I don't like being late and having my bills due all the time.
Right.
I know that, like, I don't like the way that my body looks. I've never had a six pack. This is where my story.
Right.
Both of my parents were overweight. I'd never had a ripped body before. I was Captain Dad bod. I worked out. I was strong. I had 5 professional MMA fights. I did 2 Ironmans. I wasn't some fat slob sitting around eating Cheetos all day, but I'd never been shredded before.
Right.
And my story was, my parents are fat. It's genetics. The only guys who get shredded are dudes who spend 6 hours a day in the gym. Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. Totally wrong.
Yeah.
What I have people do is really answer that question. And one of the things that's interesting is it might take you a while to answer that. And I feel like God's given me a gift. And one of the things that I'm really good at as a coach is I help people get clear on that. And the reason that I'm good at it is because I don't let people lie. Now, you lie, but I'll call you on it. And the reason that I'm good at that is because I told all the lies. And I don't say it proudly, but I say it with conviction that was something that I did. I was the master persuader, but I persuaded myself, like, oh, I'm tired today. Well, I'll do a double workout tomorrow. How many of us say that? Every motherfucker listening on here. Yeah. It's 11 o'clock at night. You haven't gotten your workout and you committed to working out. You bought the gym membership December 31st, ready for the new year. Yeah. I'm tired. All the people in my ear going, dude, your body needs rest. Rest is so important. You got to get rest. You're tired tomorrow. And that's that bitch that keeps showing up. Yeah. That's that guy that keeps getting D-level results. Yeah. That's that dude who ends up divorced. That's the reason men are where they are, is because we succumb to that shit. And what I have found is, like, when you keep drilling down, like, most men aren't willing to tell the truth of what they really want. Yeah. And so what I help men do is realize that what you really want is way more important than people's emotions and their feelings. I'm going to give you an example. This is a really good example. I had a client of mine who came through the Lions Not Sheep experience. Now, he did everything wrong. Everything you could do wrong, he did wrong. He was married, very religious culture, cheated on his wife, and knocked up his girlfriend, got his girlfriend pregnant. Okay. Now, the wife, bless her heart, these are dear friends of mine today, and they're fucking thriving, and I love it. He comes through and he's scared. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're listening to this, your heart's racing. You're like, fuck. That elephant on your chest. I can't breathe. Oh shit. I got caught. Or I'm like, I'm going to lose it all, or what? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
He comes through and he has this experience and he's like, dude, I don't want to, like, burn it down. I love my wife, but I don't know how to talk to her. And what it boiled down to is this. It's really fascinating. He had a high sex drive and he wanted to explore and he wanted to talk about things and he wanted to fucking do these things and he wanted to experience crazier, wilder sex. And in this religious culture, like, you don't talk about that stuff. It's not how it is. And I don't care whether you're Catholic, Baptist, Protestant, Mormon. Everybody that is listening to me knows what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
And so he chose to go down this path, right? And I challenged him. He came. We worked together for months, and I said, "Listen, you've got to sit down with your wife, and you have to tell her everything. You have to tell her exactly what's in your heart, what's in your mind. You have to tell her exactly what you want." And this was terrifying to him. Why? Because he would be judged. If all of a sudden he sits down with his wife, he's like, "Look, okay, I want to start doing some butt stuff. I want to try anal sex. I want toys. I want to fucking put a jungle gym in the bedroom." His story was, she would think I'm a pervert. She thinks I'm a sex addict. She'll leave me and she'll divorce me. Now, there's a ton of motherfuckers listening to me right now. You could name that with money, sex, whatever. What's really fascinating is this. He goes home. I said, you got to set the table, take her out to dinner, and you got to just be radically fucking transparent here, man. Like, you love this woman. You want to build with this woman. She's giving you a shot. She found out about the girlfriend, found out about the baby, doesn't want to leave you. Like, you got a fucking ride or die chick here, man. But you got to be all in. You've got to fucking be all in. And a couple days later, I get a text message. Can I call you? And he calls me and he's like in tears. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, dude, we've had like the best couple of days we've ever had. And I said, what happened? He's like, I sat down and I told her all of these things. And she literally looks up at me and says, why didn't you say any of this to me? I want the same thing.
Oh, wow.
And I share that as an example because it's very, very, very applicable to like every dude listening to this.
Yeah.
I was in that same spot. I never cheated on my wife. I didn't go down that path, but I was unfulfilled. I was unhappy, but I didn't know how to talk about these things. And so when you ask a question like, what does a man do? What do you do? Like right now, what do? You tell the fucking truth. They're married, they're together, and they're in this conversation together. And he was scared. He was too big of a wuss. He wasn't being a man. He wasn't speaking his truth. We're so afraid of truth. We're afraid that everyone will run. We're afraid that everybody will leave us. But the truth is the dumb motherfuckers will. Yeah. The liars will. The people that don't want to live in truth and don't want real truth will offend the fuck out of them and they will disappear from your life. Good. You don't want them there. They're a waste of time. They're a waste of space. They're a waste of energy. You want the real motherfuckers there. Yeah. And so literally like his relationship is on fire. His marriage is on fire. I love him. I love his wife. We chat all the time. I see him all the time. And this is the single greatest challenge for men listening right here, right now. The truth, it will literally, it's so, you've heard it 1,000 times. The truth will set you fucking free. Yeah. And instead of worrying like, well, if I tell my wife that I want to lick her butthole, or I want to do these things, or I want to fucking have toys or whatever, instead of fearing all of that, perhaps literally what's separating you guys from this next level of growth is that conversation, is the truth. And yet we sit here going, oh, I'm scared. I don't know. And what do I say? And what do I do? And literally the entire aspect of power is in your hands. And again, I use the sex as an example because this is the number one and number two causes of divorce, sex and money. So let's talk about Turkey for 2 seconds. Sex and money. Yep. If you ain't talking about sex openly, radically, passionately with your wife, you got a big fucking problem. Yep. You got a big fucking problem. If you're not trying to build big money, big business, you will always be a slave to a job, period. Yeah. But this takes real conversation. And so the very first step that men have got to do, the very first step that they have to take is they have to fucking tell the truth. And so when I ask you, what do you want? Well, I want freedom. What the fuck does that mean?
Right.
I want financial abundance.
Right. Happy.
What
Right.
the fuck does that mean? Yeah. I want to be happy.
Yeah.
What the fuck you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
And normally, like, as I coach people, we drill down even further and further and further. Yeah. And most people end up saying, like, I want to be happy. And really what they're saying is, I hate who I am, or I hate my job. And do you see the difference there? If you say, well, I want to be happy, everybody be like, yay, Bobby, we're so happy for you that you want to be happy. Go be happy. Yeah. Go rub crystals on your nipples and wear mala beads and you'll be so happy. You can manifest it all. No, fuck you. Yeah. What that might mean is like drilling down. You're like, I hate my job. Right. I hate my family. I hate who I'm around. Now we can do something about that. You see the difference? Yeah, I want to have financial abundance. I don't know what the fuck that means, but if you say, I want to have $100,000 sitting in the bank account, I can help you with that. Yeah. I can help you build that. When you say, I hate my job, I can help you build that. When you say, my wife and I are disconnected sexually, I can help you with that. Yeah. That's what truth is. Yeah. And when you drill down from, I just want to be happy to, well, I don't really like what I do for a living. I hate my boss. I hate my job. Now you can actually change that. And this is where most men go wrong. We're not dealing in truth. We're dealing in hypotheticals. We're dealing in superficial shit. And most of your friends that you hang out with or people that you associate with, they're also playing in hypotheticals, which is why you see no change, which is why my words trigger a lot of people, because I don't fucking care about your hypotheticals. I don't care about I want to be happy. That doesn't mean jack shit to me. It means nothing to me because it means nothing to you. It's just a lie. And most people accept lies. So the very, very, very first step is to tell the fucking truth and be around people, associate with people, coach with people, like be around people that will not accept superficial shit.
I want to ask you about, maybe this is too personal, but
there's nothing too personal, bro.
Do you regret that you didn't become this Sean Whalen before your divorce?
Not at all. Not even the slightest.
And so can you talk about that? Because there are a lot of guys that are like, oh, I fucked it all up, and they live in regret. And I know it's, we kind of touched on it already, but specifically that mindset, how do you speak to that?
Very, very easily. One of my favorite quotes was by the Mormon prophet Thomas Monson. And he said, you are who you are today because of the choices and decisions that you made yesterday.
Yeah, true.
You are who you are today because of the choices and decisions that you made yesterday. Now, you think about this for 2 seconds. I've got a lot of life experience. I've done a lot of things wrong. And that's what's helped me build what I have now.
True.
I had to go through a bankruptcy, publicly humiliated, like being called a fraud and a scam artist when it was never true. I had 2 federal judges that spent 19 months going through my multi-million-dollar bankruptcy when the market crashed.
Yeah.
I was in the papers as a fraud, as a scammer, all of this shit.
Yeah.
I had to go through that for me to understand capitalism, for me to understand money, for me to understand leverage, what true wealth really is. I had to go through my divorce to understand the pain, to understand the lies, to understand the ego, to be able to build what I have now with my wife. And so what I help men understand, and anybody listening to me that's living in that, realize that every single thing that you've experienced, you might have lied, you might have cheated, you might have stolen. All of those things brought you to this singular moment. Now, I'm not a religious man. I'm a God-fearing man. I believe in God.
Yep.
This might spin people for a loop, okay? But I take it for what it's worth. We can go down this rabbit hole again another time.
Absolutely.
We've been programmed what's right and what's wrong and what's good and what's bad. We've been programmed since we were little kids to just beg God for forgiveness. Or please, God, please accept me. Please accept me. Please let me into the kingdom. Please, 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 please.
Right.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit, according to me.
I agree.
And I can, whatever.
Yeah.
But I want everybody to think about this for a second. Experience gives you knowledge. I have a perfect knowledge that if I turn my stove on high and I touch it, it will burn me. Yep. And it will hurt. Yep. Every one of you listening to me right here, right now, knows that if you put your stove on high and touch it, it will burn you and you will hurt, right? There isn't anybody that goes, no way, I'm Superman. I touch it and I fucking snuggle and roll around on it. It doesn't exist. Every person listening to this knows that. So if that's the truth and that's the case, then you have a perfect knowledge of that reality. What if? One of my favorite questions is what if? What if every single thing that you've experienced in life has brought you to this exact moment, and that's perfect? Because right here, right now, I have a perfect knowledge of all of the things that didn't work, all of the things that were painful, all of the wrongs that I did, all of the lies and cheating and stealing and all of this hubbub from the past. And it's brought me to this exact moment. I know how to raise my kids better now because of that. I know how to be a better father because of all of that. I know how to be a better lover because of all of that. I know how to be a better CEO and a better leader because of all of that. I know how to be a better man because of all the pain and fuck ups in the past. And we live in this past like somehow we can do anything about it. You want to know something? If you're listening to this and I lied to you at some point in time in life, there isn't a goddamn thing I can do about that.
True.
Nothing. But if I live in this space where I'm trying to get you to be something or believe me, I'll fucking go to my deathbed begging for that. That's on you. Yeah. If you choose not to believe me, don't believe me. If you choose to believe me. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
But I have a perfect knowledge of what it's like to not tell the truth. Yeah. I have a perfect knowledge of what it's like to be an egomaniac and to burn a marriage to the ground. Yeah. I have a perfect knowledge of what it's like to leverage and lose millions of dollars. And it's brought me to this exact moment. And this exact moment, knowledge is perfection. I have a perfect knowledge of things. I have a perfect knowledge that there's a fuck ton of things I know nothing about that I'm yet to learn. That's a year down the road, or God willing, 5 years down the road.
Right.
But every single thing that you've experienced has brought you to this moment. And that's what makes you a bad motherfucker. I lied. I spent 10 years in jail. Dope. Good. Now go teach kids what you did so they don't do that.
Amen.
That makes you an asset, not a liability.
Yep.
You lied and cheated on your wife. Awesome. Own that shit. Pay the fucking piper. Now build something different.
Yeah.
Your wife decides she wants to live in past yesterday land and be a bitch forever. You now know I need to move on. Fantastic. You owe her nothing. Yeah. A lot of people are going to have a problem with me saying that. Well, Sean, you should feel like shit the rest of your life. No, fuck you. I shouldn't.
Agreed.
I owe you nothing. I made a mistake. I fucked up. I'm now charting a different course. If you want me to turn around and go back, fuck you. You want me to feel bad, fuck you. And this is really, really, really hard. I don't know how many women are going to listen to this because they're going to be really mad that I shared this. There's a lot of women that want to hold men by the balls. Yeah. And yeah, you fucked up. Maybe you lied. Maybe you cheated, homie. I don't know. Yeah. But the reality is, like, the only way forward is forward. Yeah. The only way is to build something new. Now, if you keep cheating, you're just a piece of shit. You might as well just own it and just tell your wife you don't want to be married. You want to go fuck everybody. It's way easier to do it that way. So hear me. If you're carrying around this bag of rocks, the lies, the cheating, all of the bullshit, grab a pair of fucking scissors and cut the straps, man. Yeah. Drop all of that because you owe no one anything. Yeah, but Sean, I hurt my mom and I hurt my mom's feelings. Your mom's choosing to be hurt. You go be a different man. Yeah, but my ex-wife won't ever stop talking about it. What does that have to do with you? You owe her nothing. Chart a new fucking course. Become a new man. This is a really, really, really hard concept, but yet at the same time, it's so unbelievably easy. But I want everybody hearing me to understand something. I don't care how bad it was. I don't care how deep it was. I don't care how fucked up it was. That brings you to this singular moment, which is dope as fuck because you have knowledge now, and knowledge is fucking perfection. And when you can operate from a place of knowledge, that's when the game changes. That's when you become a really powerful father, a really good lover. My buddy knows exactly what it's like to lie to his wife, to cheat on his wife, to knock up a girl. He knows how dark that was. He knows for sure what that was like. Yeah. Which is why their marriage is on fire now, because he's literally created something completely fucking different. He's taken that knowledge, that experience, and built something new. And there isn't a single person on this planet that should be in your space right now that wants you to live in yesterday. And this is really hard for men to hear. This is hard for men to act on. It might be mom, it might be dad, it might be a pastor, it might be a best friend that you've known for 35 fucking years. It might be your wife. If you have someone in your space who's living in yesterday and dragging you into that, get them the fuck out. Get them the fuck out. You don't owe anybody anything. Now, if you stole $20 from mom, give her $20 back. We're done. Pay her $5 extra in interest. Right. Done. Mommy, you live in that. I don't live in that anymore. Yeah. Honey, I lied. I cheated. Do you want to work with me and move forward? Yes or no? And if it's a yes, cool. I'm this way. You're this way. Period. End of story. Yeah. Here's the thing. If she wants to live back here, that's her choice. Yeah. If anybody wants to live in your past, let them live it. People talk to me all day long. They post, if you Google my name, you'll see lots of great shit. You'll also see that I went through a bankruptcy. You'll see people that called me a fraud. Guess what? Totally wrong. There's no fraud, no anything, right? Did they remove any of these articles or anything like that? No. Why? Because sex sells. It's tantalizing, right? But here's the thing. I fucking love when people share that shit. Here's why. Because that's not where I am anymore. And you want to know what's funny? It's actually making me more money. It's building my business. All you dudes out there that have lost millions of dollars or lied or cheated, you owning that, going back to the very beginning of this conversation, owning it will make you so fucking powerful and actually make you a lot of money. People don't realize that. Oh, Sean, you went bankrupt? Fuck, you're running multiple multi-million-dollar companies. You want to know why so many of my clients want to work with me? Not because of these companies that I have now. They're like, I want to know how you went from here back up to here.
No question.
We don't build statues for quitters. We don't build statues for the dudes that got knocked out and never got back up.
Yeah.
We build statues. We dedicate holidays. We fucking make movies for motherfuckers who got the shit kicked out of them.
Yes.
Got the fuck back up, literally overcame every fear, every obstacle to win again.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody who's fucked some things up in life, good. Congratulations. You have that much more experience, that much more knowledge, that much more perfect understanding of what you can share with the youth today, what you can share with your lover, what you can share with your family. Own that shit. Raise that all the way up on the top of the fucking flagpole. Hell yeah, I fucking lost millions of dollars. Let me tell you how I can help you with this. Let me tell you what I learned.
There's a billion things I want to talk to you about, man. I fucking love your just your worldview. Like I said, it's slightly different from mine, but that's why I like it. And so I know you're a busy man, so I don't want to keep you up. But the last thing, I mean, there's, like I said, there's a ton of fucking things.
Let's
Sean.
go.
All right, so the red pill, you're familiar with it, I'm sure, right?
What?
The red pill. Have you heard of red pill thinking? Basically, women are all out to fuck you over, essentially. How did you not fall into that type of a mindset when you're going through a divorce, when you were getting kind of fucked over? How did you, because a lot of men fall into this trap, like, oh, all women are fucked. It's not my fault. Women are hypergamous. They're always out for the next best man, the next best thing. And it's just, that's their nature. How did you not fall into that? I mean, I guess you kind of covered a lot of that, but like, I see guys they're so prone to that message that it's not your fault, it's the women's fault. How did you avoid that? Did you ever have any of those?
Oh, I had that all the time. I had people call me, tell me that shit all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure you must. Like, how did you?
But look at who's telling you that. Who's telling you that?
That's very true.
It's the source of everything, man. Like,
yeah.
we listen to the wrong people.
Yeah,
Amen. We really do. We listen to the wrong people, and this is the reason I've shared this multiple times in this conversation.
Yep.
Like, we listen to the wrong people. We take counsel from the wrong people. Listen, if you're broke, like, why are you taking counsel and advice from broke people?
Yeah.
Like, if you know Bob and Sally have a shitty fucking marriage, why are you listening to anything Bob and Sally are talking about?
Amen.
Real talk.
Yep.
This is the reason that I share this over and over and over with people. You've got to change your circle. You've got to change your circle. If social media is dramatic and there's all this bullshit, and so guess what? You following all that shit. You chose to follow the dramatic motherfuckers.
True.
Nobody forced you to do that. And this is something that people need to understand. And I mean, they could do whatever the fuck they want.
Right.
But the truth is, like, I've got an amazing relationship. Like, I've got a marriage right now that I only like thought of in my mind.
Yeah.
I never experienced it before, but I built it. Yeah. I built it. Like, you can blame shit on women all day long and say women are crazy. Men are fucking crazy. Women are crazy. They are crazy. Men are fucking crazy. And I was in Laguna Beach a couple of years ago with one of my coaches, and we were walking down the beach, and this is something super huge. We were looking at this house, and this house was for sale. It's a $26 million house. And buying a $26 million house isn't hard, right? Hand a 12-year-old a calculator, and they'll figure out how much it costs and what the down payment is and what the mortgage payment is going to be. That's easy. The actual math of buying a $26 million house is simple.
Yeah.
The question is, and the question that came up, and the question that I share with my clients, and I talk about all the time, is who do I have to become to live in a $26 million house? Because I promise you, the dude that lives in a single wide trailer, he ain't the same as the dude who lives in a $26 million house. He doesn't do the same shit. He doesn't think the same shit. He probably doesn't eat the same shit. He doesn't have the same daily habits. And this isn't about money. This isn't like, well, he's got a leg up or he's got a leg up. Every person listening to me right now has the same capacity and the same ability to do whatever the fuck they want. True. Oh, Sean, but I have bills. You think AT&T just gives me a free fucking cell phone? You think these lights are on? The power company's like, Sean, we love your social media. Here's free power. I got bills, motherfucker, just like everybody else does.
Sure.
When you stop and think about this for 2 seconds, who do I have to become to have a badass chick as a wife? And what does badass chick mean? It means this, and this.
Yeah.
And what we do as men, is we stay in our fucking shit and expect everybody else around us to rise. We expect everybody else. We expect our wife to show up all the time, 24/7, even while we're being a little fucking turd. We expect all of these things from our employees, but we don't do them as employers.
No.
And when you stop and really think about that for a second, there's a lot of really, really rad, powerful women out there. Want to know why most men aren't finding them? Because you're a fucking joker. No. And you're hanging out with the jokers and the harlots. You go to the same shitty bar, talk to the same shitty people, fucking the same slutty chicks. Oh, you don't want to hear that. Oh, you don't want to hear that. Right? That's exactly why your life is the way that it is. So when you elevate, you become a different person, right? You want to fucking become rich? Hang out with rich people. But there's fucking conferences. There are meetings. There's shit all over this country that really rich people are at all the fucking time, every day of the week. You now have this thing called social media, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah. It's free. It's free.
Yeah.
I literally messaged a dude the other day who has a wildly successful TV show, who is an OG that everybody fucking loves, red-blooded American. And I sent him a message on Instagram. I'm not connected to him. I have no connections to him. He doesn't follow me. I follow him. Yeah. He makes guns. He makes custom guns.
Oh, shit.
I sent him a message and said, bro, your guns are fucking legendary. Are you taking custom orders? Motherfucker messages me back. This is a dude who makes millions and millions. Who am I? I'm nothing to him. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know me as shit.
I can relate.
I fucking messaged him.
Yeah.
So you ain't hanging out with rich people? That's your own fucking fault. You ain't hanging out with fit people? That's your own fault. So this idea, if you're hanging out with shitty chicks, you think all chicks are after this or after that or whatever, you're lying and you're wrong, period. You haven't become the man yet. You're still playing with the little girls, hanging out with the little boys, all little shit talkers. Yep. You haven't elevated yet. Yep. Want to find a badass chick? Become a badass dude. Want to find a chick that's ready to build big shit? Start building big shit. You think you're going to be some fat fucking turd that's going to come along and get an Instagram supermodel? Nope. Ain't going to work. No. But Sean, it works if you have a fuck ton of money. Those things don't work either. Yeah. 99.9% of the relationship, that ain't how it works. It's not how it works. Yeah. So ask yourself the question. If I want a badass chick, I'm single, I went through a divorce, and all chicks are crazy. All chicks are lunatics. All chicks are whatever. Right. Number one, that's not true. Number two, who do I have to become to have a queen? And I went through this exact same thing. I have an energy worker that came to my house one time, and she's a shaman, and I started working with her after my divorce. And I live in this huge house. I live in a gated community. I got a big fucking house. She walked in and we were having a conversation, the whole thing. And she's like, is this a home that a queen would want to be in? Because I was hanging out with chicks. I was dating hot chicks. It's not hard. It ain't hard, right? You got Instagram, you got Swipe, Bumble, Tinder. It ain't hard to fucking find people.
Yep.
And I was realizing, I was like, yeah, I live in a big ass house and it's really cool and it's really nice. But I got guns everywhere. I haven't hung up any of my artwork. I got artwork all over the place. I got my shoes over here. Yeah. And yeah, it's a dope ass house, but this ain't a house that a queen would come in. Hmm. And I know that sounds really, really, really elementary and juvenile, but here's what it represented. Huh. I hadn't elevated my home to be my kingdom. Yeah. I was just treating, it was a bachelor pad for me. Right. And I realized in that moment, it wasn't about money and getting some rich chick that was going to come in. It was about me elevating how I treated myself, how I decorated my home. And I went and I hired an interior designer who came in and got me new couches. I put all my guns away. I had guns all over the place. I put them in safes. I put them in different places. I hung up my art so that it looked good. And that elevated me into a completely new mindset. And I was like, oh shit, I like this better. Yeah. Guess what happened? I stopped playing with the little kids, the little girls, started elevating. It's how it works.
No, I agree. Well, and I can relate because I reached out to you. I didn't expect you to reply, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing you said. Oh, I'm a nobody. Fuck that shit. It's like, seriously, don't ever say that to yourself again, bro. Don't ever fucking say that again. I don't give a shit if you're talking to Jesus. I don't care if you're talking to Donald Trump. You walk in the room like you're the baddest motherfucker. Don't ever speak down of yourself. Don't ever be like, oh, Sean, you're this and I'm that. Fuck that shit. You walk around with your head up, with your fucking chest out, be like, goddamn right, I'm gonna get Sean Whalen on my podcast. And when he shows up, be like, dude, let's go. Let's fucking talk.
Well, I appreciate it, Sean. This was amazing. I got one more thing that I want to ask you, and it's the last thing that I ask everybody. And you've covered so much that probably you may repeat yourself here, but I don't give a fuck because good things bear repeating. What's 1 or 10 words of wisdom you would impart into a guy who just found out he just got papers, he just got told I'm leaving you, or get the fuck out of the house, or whatever? What are some words of what do you say to that man? How do you help him get through this?
First thing I say to him is good. Now you know. Now we can start building some shit. Good. Your wife left you? Good. How's it feel? Sucks, huh? Sucks finding out that you've been an asshole for 10 years, huh? Same thing I said to my son. He put his fucking head into my shoulder after his football game. I'll do the same thing. You want to cry? You want to rage? Cool. Go ahead. You want to fucking blame everything? Go right ahead. But good, because now you know. Now you got truth. Now you know that she fucking sleeping with the neighbor because you're a fucking asshole. Because you've been checked out and you work 20-hour days and you're not emotionally invested, and somebody else emotionally invested and they fucking took over. Good. Now what? Now what? Now what do you want? Now what are you going to do? And the second part of that is very self-evident through this conversation. Tell the fucking truth. Tell the fucking truth.
Man, this is amazing, Sean. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. I am sure that we will do it again sometime because I will not remove you from my Instagram messages. So I will, on occasion, say, hey, what's up? How you doing, man? Let's do this again.
Go, man.
I appreciate it, brother. Take care of yourself. I mean, I know how people can find you, but how do people find you?
Instagram, Facebook, SeanWhalen.com, lionsnotsheep.com.
All right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Well, that's a wrap for episode 42. Again, I want to thank Sean for taking the time to sit down and talk with me. It really meant a lot to me. And I hope you get something out of it. I hope if you're a man out there and you're struggling with being alpha and you feel like you can't cry, you have now just been given permission by a real true alpha, a leader, and an incredibly successful man. So I hope we can put some of that to rest. I hope we can start turning things around for men in this country, in this world, and allow ourselves to feel our feelings. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I truly appreciate you tuning in. Going forward, I hope that all episodes will be using video and be uploaded to YouTube. I can't guarantee that all guests will be comfortable with turning their cameras on, but that's the intent. All other episodes will slowly but surely, I think, be uploaded. I have video of everything I've ever done. Not everyone has turned their camera on, so there will be some that won't. You will just see my pretty face, I think, but maybe not. It'll be a slow process to get the old ones out. They're still up and out on all the other podcast networks. So if you're interested, you can find them there. Please also check the website for information on how to connect with me on Facebook to become part of our Facebook group, which will also lead you to be able to become part of our Discord server where we do video chats twice a week. And also, if you're interested, you can become a warrior or a member, which is $5 a month or $50 a year. And that gets you access to Q&A events with past guests, listening parties for unreleased episodes. I also text 3 times a week, motivational, inspirational, and funny shit. And you also get discount for merchandise. Currently, I have t-shirts and mugs and tumblers and stickers and various things. I'm still working on developing some of that stuff, and there will be more to come in the future. My intent with this podcast has always been to help men get through divorce. And I hope that this particular episode and all of the other ones before it have helped you or will help you. If you need anything, please do not hesitate to reach out to me at risingphoenixpodcast2020@gmail.com. Until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Nick Coyle and Lifer for allowing me to use their song, Born Again, which you're hearing now and at the intro to the podcast. Thank you to Justin Delahanty and all of my brothers at the Alpha Code. Please reach out and connect with me and other like-minded men on the Facebook group page, Rising Phoenix Podcast. This group will be used to discuss released episodes, future episodes, and to discuss any and all things that come from dealing with a divorce, separation, or breakup. I look forward to connecting with you. Until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And remember to surround yourself with people who add value to your life, who challenge you to be greater than you were yesterday, who sprinkle magic into your existence just like you do to theirs. Life is not meant to be done alone. Find your tribe. Take care.